Note to Roger Goodell. Does ESPN really know what the fan wants?
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Hang on,
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the August 6th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions, call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. Okay, so Kyren Williams got his contract. Stafford has an aggravated disc. Unofficial depth chart was released. Shador's starting on Saturday. All kinds of stuff breaking out there. And NFL Network in the process thereof of being sold to ESPN. But what I want to lead with is my bling. You see this? You see this, what that is right there? It's a Buffalo Wild Wing fantasy championship ring. I was pulled into a league with some guys up in San Luis Obispo. They didn't respect me. They brought me in. It's some people from the church up in San Luis Obispo. They thought they had easy pickings. They didn't respect RamView. And I went in there. I came. I saw VD. I came. I saw. I kicked their butts. And they were forced to give me the bling. So I wanted to make sure you guys know, while I'm not a fantasy expert, I did get my my props, and I want you to see that right there. Not a bad deal. It's the first bling I've gotten for winning a fantasy league. Most of them are just a carton of smokes and say, hey, smoke up, Joey. Just kidding. All right, so questions have already rolled in. Let's see. Bill, Rams dominate scrimmage. Offense is looking good with Jimmy G. Absolutely. AD jokes about coming back if Rams trade for Micah Parsons. Hard no, and maybe, I guess so. Yeah, he's working out. He's in shape, but he hasn't been hit for close to 2 years. I love AD. Of course, I'd bring him back. But what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't put a limit on the Rams window by bringing in a guy that you're going to have to pay over 40 rocks to keep, give up a bunch of draft capital to get, and he's not even better than Jared Verse. Sorry, big lunch, not dancing with that one. Willie Bowen, AD isn't coming out of retirement to play with the Rams. All right. Tim Burns, AD is 25 pounds off his game weight. Buff, but too light for what he does. I would love it, but it isn't happening. And I know someone was mocking, I don't know who it was or where I was listening when they were talking about football shape. Hey, man, 20 years covering football, there is such a thing as football shape. You got to get used to getting hit. A lot of pretty boys go out there. They're in great shape, Skeets Nehemiah and others, and they don't know what it's like to get hit. You get your bell rung, your body has to adjust. All right. Forgotten locale. Oh, nice. Thanks for clicking on, man. We've been stuffing Dallas whenever they tried to run the ball. Think Puna will be a great signing. I'm kind of excited about Puna Ford too. I am. I really am. I went into that offseason not knowing what was available, and I was going to bring back Bobby Brown. At least you know what you got in him. He's not exceptional, but he'll give you 25 to 30 snaps. I'm really happy with this trade. Really, I'm sorry, this signing. Forgive me. I am happy about that. Okay. All right, let's hear your thoughts on this. We banted this about quite a bit at the end of last season, in fact, during last season, and then, of course, this offseason, about Kyren Williams' extension. 3 years, 33 rocks. It's kind of what was right in the window that we all talked about. Only 23 guaranteed, and it sounds like a guy that wants to stay a Ram. I did not see the breakdown. My guess is by the third season, if things go south, he's easy to move off of. Rams have loaded that running back room with Blake Corum. Rams have loaded that running back room with Jarquez Hunter, who everyone's positive about. And Kyren Williams, come on. That fumbling thing, that's going to be fixed this year. That guy is – everything about Kyren Williams is what the Rams look for, right? He's the Johnny Bravo. He fits the suit. Really happy he's there. Really happy with that depth. So I'll take your thoughts on that. And then, of course, Stafford. It finally came out what exactly it was. Stafford is dealing with an aggravated disc. Didn't say ruptured disc, did it? Did it say ruptured disc? No, didn't say anything else. It said aggravated disc. This came from the NFL Network's Ian Rappaport. Again, I'm not stressed about it. I'm not worried about it. You can do that kind of thing just driving 3,000 miles or doing something funky. I've been there, and when it's all fixed, when it's all, less aggravated, it's like it was never there. Still 37 years old, a lot of mileage. I would be careful, and that's exactly what the Rams are doing. And if they wanted to be careful for the first 2 weeks of the season, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with benching Stafford in every fourth quarter if the Rams got a 2-touchdown lead. I'm definitely okay with benching Stafford if they're trailing in the fourth quarter by more than 40 points, too, maybe Sean McVay needs to listen to us just a little bit. Tim Burns, Skeets isn't fair. Dude was a track guy, but they brought him out. They signed him. I'll look for somebody else. I don't want to say Ron Brown. Ron Brown was a track guy, but he was also a football player. Tim Burns, Stafford has 2 years left. It's smart to extend Kyren so they can rely on his run if Stafford's replacement fails. And there's other depth behind him there. This Rams window is open for 2 years, and depending if they get more contracts like this Kyren contract done, it could extend further depending on who the replacement is for Stafford. If you make that move for Micah Parsons, right, you're going to have to give up an arm and a leg. And who wants to give an arm and a leg to Dallas? I don't even want to give them a life vest if they were sinking. But then you're paying Parsons over 40 rocks. I know it's not serious, but I just want to blow all that out of the water before the Buffalo Wild Wing sports bar guys come in. We don't want to deal with that. Let's see here. Rams released their first unofficial depth chart. That was really interesting. Manny Vasquez Williams has been close to a top 10 in yards and top 3 in touchdowns over the last 3 years, so he gets the job done. The extension was worth it. I totally agree with you. I'm right there with you, Manny, on that one. I'm very happy with the extension. Again, there's a certain Ram guy they grab. He's one of them. I think when he was signing the contract, they said, what are you going to do? It's time for mom to retire. I mean, that's just the whole business there. Notre Dame guy. No, this was a good deal all the way around for the Rams. Willie and Manny saying hi. All right. And then you got Tim agreeing with Manny 100%. Okay, good. We're all there. All right. Let's look at this depth chart that was released. First, that Cowboy scrimmage was interesting. I was seeing, Landman wasn't out there. I saw a lot of the defensive highlights. I saw a lot of Spates. I saw a lot of Troy Reader, unfortunately. I saw a lot of Fields, the linebacker. I saw where is he at here? Oh, where is that guy? I saw some Dolak, and so yeah, so it was interesting. I saw a lot of Charles Woods. I saw some Darian Kendrick, so yeah, I didn't see a whole lot of the offense, just the highlights. I saw some consecutive plays on defense, but I didn't see a whole lot of the offense. But what we did see in the highlights looked really good. And yeah, I think no one wants Jimmy G to play unless it's mop-up duty. But if he has to play, I think we're all pretty happy about that. And I think as Forgotten Locale said, look at this. As Forgotten Locale said, that Poona Ford, right? Poona Ford might be the biggest signing of all because he looks pretty good out there. Let's see, Locale. Dallas passing game looks like it'll be white hot this year. Everything else probably not. But also, I'll go back to saying this. They've already got struggles on their offensive line, right? They've got struggles on their offensive line. They're struggling there. They lost their left tackle for a while. And then I just don't trust Dak Prescott, right? And such. So we're looking at oh man, who's contacting me? Oh, I got information here. Okay, we got information here about something going on with the Rams. Nothing big. Someone just wanted to tell me something. Sorry, my bad. So yeah, happy about the Poona Ford signing and fun to watch those highlights and the team playing. Let's see here. All right. Starting quarterback, no one's questioning that depth chart. Stafford, Jimmy G, Stetson Bennett. Dresser Wynn is window dressing. He'll be released at the end of August. Running backs, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, Jarquez Hunter. Everyone sees it. Maybe get a little bit of Jarquez on Saturday, but a lot of Ronnie Rivers, Cody Schrader, and Jordan Waters. Okay, looking at the depth chart for the receivers, behind Devontae Adams, they got Jordan Whittington, Mario Williams, and True Edwards. I want to reiterate, Mario Williams is my vote, my prediction for Nelson Spruce Award this year. I got a feeling he's going to be the Nelson Spruce guy. The inside guy, the other guy is Tutu Atwell, still listed there, the third receiver. And right behind him is Xavier Smith, then Britton Covey. And it even shows on the return chart that Xavier Smith is ahead of him, and that's kind of what I was hoping for. Behind Puka Nacua is Konata Mumfield and then Drake Stoops. So, Atwell's been getting a lot of action. We've seen a lot of Atwell highlights. And so, happy with this team, happy with this wide receiver room. The tight end room is a little interesting because it looks like last year's. Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson, Davis Allen, and then Terrence Ferguson. Now, Ferguson, has the slight growing thing, rookie. I got to imagine next time we see a depth chart, he's got to move up, right? He's got to move up a little bit to justify everything that they say he is. Tim Powers down in Irvine. Wait till preseason and fans see Hunter. They may rethink that contract signing. But don't you see the wisdom of that? That's not a killer contract. That's not a punitive contract. And Jarquez Hunter is going to be free. I mean, he's going to be playing for what, 4th round money, right? He's going to be playing for 4th round money. If he explodes, great. And I think there's still, let's just say it goes south. Rams have had worse contracts they've had to get out of, right? They've had worse contracts to get out of, and I don't anticipate that. I like the depth in the room. I really like the depth in the room. And you're all in on Jarquez Hunter. Okay, Mr. Powers. Let's look at the offensive line, looking at left tackle. Alaric Jackson, DJ Humphreys, David Quisenberry. That's really interesting there because Humphreys and Quisenberry were the summer signings that came up after Alaric Jackson, right? And so that means, I don't see anybody else on that depth chart that was already on the roster. No A.J. Curry here, right? So it's Humphreys and Quisenberry. And then at left guard, Steve Avila, Justin Diedick, Wyatt Bowles, undrafted free agent. And then this is where it got really interesting because a few of you guys have been asking about Willie Lampkin. The previous depth charts that I've seen was Bo Limmer had been moved to guard and Dylan McMahon was the backup center behind Coleman Shelton. But in the unofficial depth chart released by the Rams today, it's Coleman Shelton, Bo Limmer, and Willie Lampkin. And I was looking at Willie Lampkin at guard. So that's really interesting. Right guard depth chart, Kevin Dotson, Dylan McMahon, KT Leviston, and then undrafted free agent Ben Dooley. And that's interesting. Now, it's unofficial. It's nothing permanent. But wasn't that kind of surprise? I mean, it's really easy, guys. Just go on there and dial it up. You can dial it up. You're not just learning this from me. I'm not scooping anybody. But to see Bo Limmer back at center and Dylan McMahon moved over to guard, I thought that was pretty interesting. Given that. Also, Dylan McMahon ahead of KT Leviston because there was a lot of buzz that everyone really liked KT Leviston. But again, what does this tell us? The Rams really like Dylan McMahon. So again, I brought that up on Monday that, they're talking about him when he had his ankle injury, slight ankle injury. The fact that they're just talking about this guy means, he's on the Rams radar and they really like him. Right tackle, Rob Havenstein, Warren McClendon. These are the guys that we nailed right there. We knew that would be it. AJ Akuri, and then Trey Weddick, the undrafted free agent. Akuri is what is he? Seventh round pick from about 5 years ago. He's still hanging around. I think he might be going for his last hurrah. And so, but he's hanging on. Good for AJ Akuri and such. But that was kind of where we nailed Warren McClendon. We said he's not a left tackle, he's a right tackle. and that's showing there. Let's see. What do we got here? Tim Burns, 11 rocks for the TDs Kyron gives is a great deal. There you go. Steve Ramirez, forgot about the show, but I'm here now. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate you being here. Tim Powers, hope Davis Allen sees a lot of playing time this preseason. I almost think he has to, but that's interesting when you look at the tight ends. You got Higbee, Parkinson, Davis Allen third, and then Terrence Ferguson. And I'm interested to see what they do with Ferguson. Because to get better, you got to play. He's got that slight growing thing. And I think it was it Anthony Torres they put on the PUP list, and then they got Mark Redmond. So I imagine Davis Allen's going to play. And then again, there's the great question. When Tyler Higbee came back last year, the Rams went with 4 tight ends because Hunter Long was there. And more talk about 12 personnel this year. Rams go Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson, Davis Allen, and Terrence Ferguson. That'd be interesting. Again, depends on how Ferguson develops. It would be really disappointing if Ferguson's not catching snaps because the Rams really, really liked him. Let's see what else we got here. Manny Vasquez. Williams grew up a Rams fan, so he wanted to stay, and the contract shows that it's very reasonable and manageable. Yeah, I saw a link that said he didn't know if the Rams were going to meet just what he was asking for, but you could tell he wanted to be a Ram, right? He wanted to stay with the Rams. So good for the Rams. Another testimony to the organization post Georgia. Thomas Wilson. Tom, I think you haven't been with us for a while, but you've been with us before. Poona Ford is a monster. The Rams can have an early 2000s Baltimore Ravens defense, dominant and elite defense. Let me see that. That's a great thing to discuss there. Okay, let's just say Turner, Fisk, and Ford are all bad dudes, right? They're all bad dudes. Byron Young keeps developing. Jared Verse goes to the level everyone thinks he's at. Landman and Spates are what we think they are, which would be an improvement from last year. Emmanuel Forbes turns into a frontline starter. And then you got Witherspoon, Kobe Durant, even Darius Williams there for boundary corners. You got Quentin Lake, Cam Kitchens, Cam Curl, Jalen McCullough at the safety on the back porch, also playing some of that slot coverage there, the star position, so to speak. If everything you want to stay positive, I would sound like a homer if I said that. I'm not saying you're a homer, Mr. Wilson, but if all those guys played to their ability, now I don't know if they're the 2000 Ravens, but that's a pretty devastating defense there. That's a pretty devastating defense. Let's see. Tim Powers, any news on who's not playing Cowboys because of injury? Well, I was looking at that, and I mean, unofficially, Pooh Paul was out there, the off-ball linebacker. I saw him getting snaps. Akilla Witherspoon was getting snaps. We know they were sitting Stafford. I did not see the offense, so I couldn't see if Ferguson got any clicks at all. So, that one I'm not sure about there, Mr. Powers. All right, let's keep chugging along here. Looking at the defense, breaking it down to 3-4, looking at the defensive ends, not the classic defensive ends because all the defensive ends now in a 34 are a little more heavy as opposed to the days of Jack Youngblood and Fred Dreyer. That's how we tend to think of defensive ends. But Braden Fisk is a hand in the dirt guy. He's at one spot with Laurel Murchison behind him. I've been rooting for DeJuan Johnson over Laurel Murchison, but Murchison's hung around. He only played a couple snaps last year, a former 5th-round pick of the Titans many years ago. Then there's DeJuan Johnson, Mr. Irrelevant, and then undrafted free agent Decarius Hawthorne, who I think had an original cup of coffee earlier in the spring with the Buffalo Bills. Nose tackle, Poona Ford, and that's also where Ty Hamilton landed. They put Ty Hamilton, the kid from Ohio State. And again, we talk about, can this defense be elite? What would make this defense elite would be Ty Hamilton and Tank Davis developing as part of that rotation into something special. Bill Norton, undrafted free agent, is third on the depth chart at nose tackle. At the other defensive end spot, Kobe Turner, Tank Davis, and then a couple of undrafted free agents, Jack Heflin and DeJuan Terry. I've actually heard a little conversation about Heflin. I'm not declaring him, the surprise of the camp or anything like that, but I've heard some stuff that they kind of like that guy a little bit. Nothing to really write home about or anything there, but thought I would get that one out there. Manny Vasquez, with faster and more physical linebackers, the front seven's going to be really good, which in turn will make the secondary better. I'm not going to disagree with you, Chief. Not even a little bit. Spates, experienced Landman are upgrades over rookie Spates and Christian Rosebrook, right? I've talked about that quite a bit. Rosebrook gave us the best he can give. He's a borderline full-time special teams guy who played really well, but Landman is a superior athlete. So, yeah, those guys can change a lot of things on the defense. At the boundary corner spots, now, when they released the unofficial depth chart, they only released the base defense, 2 corners, 2 safeties. So there's no really getting into the star position, but we know a lot of these guys can play the star position. Boundary corners, at one end, Akilla Witherspoon and Kobe Durant are shown to be fighting for a job. And then you got Darian Kendrick, Charles Woods, who got snaps. I saw significant snaps from Charles Woods in the Dallas scrimmage. And then the other boundary corner, Darius Williams with Emmanuel Forbes behind him. Josh Wallace, I thought I saw Josh Wallace getting some snaps. Then Sean Jolly and Cam Lampkin, no relation, I don't think, to Willie Lampkin. And then you got the safety position. And again, we're not listing, they really didn't list the star or the slot corner or anything like that. They just went with the base defense, 2 safeties, 2 corners. You got Quentin Lake, Cam Kitchens, Tanner Ingle, and Malik Dixon-Williams. Tanner Ingle, man, that guy won't go away. He's like AJ or Curry, right? Kerr Thomas. They should call that team the will not die room, those guys. And then in the other safety spot, you got Cam Curl and Jalen McCullough, who, think about Jalen McCullough, undrafted free agent a year ago, gets significant snaps and playing time, and now he's back with more experience. And obviously, it's not because of his great athleticism that he made the team. He made the team because he's athletic enough, but he's a smart player. He had to be a smart player to make the team, and now he's got a year under his belt. So I'm not saying, maybe he's the next Ivory Sully. He's definitely not Jonathan Abraham, right? So I do like Jalen McCullough, and I think he's fun to keep an eye on. Still no second leg in camp to relieve Josh Carty of some of his work. Let's see. Steve Ramirez, a Cowboy insider, said the Cowboys had trouble running the ball against the Rams D on Tuesday. Yeah, I saw that in a couple of places, Steve. I saw that in a couple of places, and that bodes well because, again, we're going half speed, but we know the Rams line has improved, and we know the Cowboys O-line is struggling, right? And that's a little scary when you think they still got to pay Micah Parsons, and they're already paying 60 rocks to Dak Prescott. So good for the Rams, right? Good for the Rams. Manny Vasquez, I think by midseason, Forbes and Williams will be CB1 and CB2. I'm good with that. I'm really good with that. I think that would be a great thing, right? Anything that gets Forbes on the field and allows me to pontificate or whine or whatever you want to hear me say. All right, I'm Joe Terosian as a sports writer for 20 years. Still do it kind of a little bit. Yeah, I am. At Mid-Valley Sports, I'm contributing there, and so happy to be part of that. They cover the Chargers there. I cover the Rams, thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law. And thank you to Kistler Law for doing that. And also thank you to you guys for buying my books. I do appreciate that. And all my books are available on Amazon. I got 3 football novels, 2 high school, 1 NFL. The NFL one was released in September. It's about the Rams playing the Packers in a fictional NFC championship game. And all these things help me stay in my day job. And you'll read my other books there. They are of more of a lean to my day job. This is one of my more popular ones. It's called Sin Virus. Think Dawn of the Dead meets Christianity, and got some good reviews. If you want to check that sucker out, it's available in ebook and hard copy or soft cover, and eventually pretty soon. I'm not going to say pretty soon, but eventually it's going to be in audio. Every time you buy the books, you support me. Kistler Law supports me in my day job. I pastor a small church in Burbank, very small church. and that keeps us going. And you can find that small church right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, and then of course BurbankFaithVirtual.com, Burbank Faith Virtual on Facebook and all across social media. But I'm on vacation right now for 3 weeks, so I won't be posting anything new to Burbank Faith Virtual. Also, you can check us out on Spotify and iHeart from the RamCave, RamView. Check us out in those places. All right, let's see what we got here. Willie Bone, opposing quarterbacks will have a nightmare from the LA Rams defense. Horns up. You know what I'm curious to see? I don't know if you guys remember this. Maybe you don't. And I understand there's schemes and reasons and everything for everything that they do. In 2022, and everything was going wrong, right? In 2022, I was so frustrated with Raheem Morris and all the soft coverage that he was giving. They weren't pressing anybody. You know, it was like 3rd and 5, and they're 10 yards off the ball, right? Just giving away all these first downs. And then in 2023, he tightened it up a little bit. And you know, it was just that little bit, right? That little bit of press coverage that bought the extra half second for the pass rush to get there. And that's what you want to see, right? You just want them to play press just enough to where the quarterback has to think for another tick or a half tick, and give these guys now who are starting to develop, not just in the pass rushers, but elite pass rushers. And I'd put Byron Young on the cusp of being an elite pass rusher, averaging nine sacks his first 2 years. And then we know what Jared Verse is capable of, and we've seen what Kobe Turner can do without Aaron Donald. So we know he's legit. And so this is exciting to see what the Rams are going to do, and to cut short the time in the pocket for those quarterbacks. And, you know, probably on Friday's show, I'm going to do a breakdown of the quarterbacks the Rams will be facing. So that'll be fun to go to from there. Let's see what else we got here. Thomas Wilson, Cowboys YouTube channels were raving about the Rams defense. The Cowboys offense got punched in the mouth and did not respond. Yeah, I didn't see that. I just heard the news that they struggled against the Rams. I didn't know it was Cowboy people talking about it. Cowboy people sometimes are a little bit in denial, and they got a rough. You know what? I got to tell you something. There is this part of me. There is this part of me that by mid-season, the Giants are going to right their ship. I'm not saying they're going to beat the Texans. I'm not saying they're going to beat the Eagles. And I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs. Don't misread me. But when I look at the Giants, the G-men, and I look at the Cowboys aren't a bullet. They're going up. And to me, the Giants are going up. The Cowboys look like they're white-knuckling and holding on for dear life, right? So they don't slip any further. From the decision with Schottenheimer to paying Prescott to paying CD to now the fiasco with Micah Parsons, their offensive line is not worked out. They're lousy at personnel. I think the Cowboys could finish in last place in the East. I think everyone's thinking Giants in last place, but I think the Cowboys could finish in last place. And yeah, I'm not just saying that because I'm anti-Cowboy, which I am. Let's see, Manny Vasquez. That soft coverage that Morris played was so frustrating. That's the number one thing I didn't like about Morris. He wasn't aggressive enough. You remember that from 2022? Man, that was brutal in 2022. Tightened things up a bit in 2023. He really did, and it was pretty decent last year. But that 2022, and I don't know what you were afraid of getting beat for, because you were getting beat already because you couldn't protect Stafford, you couldn't protect Wolford, you couldn't protect Perkins, and you really couldn't protect Baker Mayfield either. So yeah, that was a bad year in 2022. That was very frustrating. Forgotten Lolcow. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm glad you're here, man. Giants have a premier pass rush, but that schedule of theirs is brutal. Yeah, who's Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, and Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm not real hot on Thibodeau, but they've invested a lot there. And you know what? When you get interdivision, you know, that's why when everyone's signing off the 49ers have an easy schedule, they're dismissing what it is to play a division opponent when a division opponent is hungry, right? We're not talking the Saints of 1973 here, right? We're not talking about the Buccaneers in 76. We're talking about teams that are competitive and know each other really well. I mean, this is going to be Jonathan Gannon's third year with the Cardinals, right? Shanahan's been in Frisco forever. We know how long McVay's been here. McDonald's in his second year. These are teams that are starting to really know each other. So these are not give-me's. And as I said, I think the Rams could go 4-2 in the NFC West. Same holds true in the NFC East. Schottenheimer, everyone knows who Schottenheimer is. And Brian Daboll has been around enough. He knows what the Cowboys are going to do, right? I mean, Helen Keller can tell you what the Cowboys are going to do on offense. They're the same old team, right? And so, I think it's going to be really interesting there in the back half of the NFC East. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, the Rams game is going to be shown on the ABC channel here in the Central Valley. Where is it going to be shown in SoCal? Usually I'm trying to remember. KTLA, guys, does anyone remember? Sometimes ABC, KABC, maybe it's going to be KABC. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. What are we going to get? We're going to get Siciliano, Kimes, and Whitworth, right? Kimes, right? There's your NFL network and ESPN merger, your greatest fear taking place. I do not know for sure there, Chief. I know it starts at 4 o'clock. Speaking of around the NFL and other places, ESPN buys out NFL Network. Talk is it won't really happen for another year or so until everything gets worked out. And I saw Goodell, the interview with Goodell, and he's talking like, ESPN really knows what fans want. ESPN doesn't have a clue what fans want. They haven't had a clue. ESPN is tolerated because they show football, and people want to watch football. But then they'll stick Beth Mowins in there, and it's like, I'm going to puke my guts out, and they're going to give you heavy doses of Mina Kimes. These are the reasons, right? These are the reasons that no one likes ESPN, this sort of thing, not just those two ladies. But, I think it's a stupid move. But then again, Goodell, I don't know, more and more about Goodell. Goodell just wets his finger, puts it up, finds out which way the wind's blowing. And, kind of a suck job with Goodell these days. Let's see here. Yeah, so I'm not looking forward to it. In fact, I like two different networks. I don't like the homogenization of those two. I prefer the NFL Network draft to the ESPN draft. But, that's what it is, right? That's what it is. More room for guys like us. Let's see. Bill, who's going to make the roster, Brennan Jackson or Nick Hampton? I didn't go through that all the way, did I, Chief? Looking at the edge right now, backing up Jared Verse is Nick Hampton, and Brennan Carnage Jackson is behind Nick Hampton. They got Keir Thomas behind Byron Young, and then Josiah Stewart. I think Stewart's going to leap that spot there, but Keir Thomas was getting a lot of snaps in that Cowboy thing there, in that Cowboy scrimmage. Sorry, not thing. So I think both those guys can make the roster. So that means Verse, Hampton, Jackson, that's 3. And then Young, 4, and Josiah Stewart, 5, right? Because those guys could also play special teams. I'm not hopeful for Keir Thomas, right? I'm not hopeful. We'll see, right? Who gets the playing time on Saturday, and that'll kind of give you an idea who's in trouble, whoever's playing. Let's see. Steve Ramirez. I think it's KBC because Sandoval was a sideline reporter last year. Okay, yeah, that's probably it. SM, nobody likes ESPN. There you go. I used to watch that religiously. You always watch Sports Center, right? I don't even, do they have Sports Center anymore? SM, Mina Kimes should not be calling Rams games. She's a Seattle fan. Does she know she's a Seattle fan, or is that just what her handlers give her? I don't know. I know that's pretty cold. That's weak. Steve Ramirez. Travis Rogers gave a note to ESPN, leave Red Zone alone. Yeah, I think that was like the big thing, right? Everyone was talking about Red Zone. I did hear them talking about creating a Red Zone version for college football. That's kind of interesting. That would be an interesting twist. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, did you know that Stafford had an epidural shot on his back? Yeah, they talked about that. We opened the show with it. Again, I am not worried about Stafford's back right now. I'm just not. It says it's an aggravated disc. That doesn't mean slip disc. That doesn't mean ruptured disc or anything. Maybe aggravated and slipped. I don't even think they're the same thing. Somebody with the back problems can let me know, but I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. And I don't think I'm being delusional. Let's see here. DHP, good to have you, man. Haven't seen you for a while. Everyone dismisses interior D linemen, but they are so disruptive, and Poona Ford being relatively short and strong is a great combo. Yeah, I agree with you. Look at Chris Jones. Look at Chris Jones. Look at those beasts in Kansas City, Chris Jones, and look at those beasts they have in Philly. Yeah, the interior guy means a lot. When Goose Siragusa, the late Tony Siragusa, was there in Baltimore, that really freed Ray Lewis up to do a lot of damage. And not that Ray Lewis wasn't a Hall of Famer anyway, but when you had someone like Siragusa eating up all that space and knocking people around, that really helps your linebackers quite a bit. And so there's another thing. If Poona Ford, we hope, is what we hope he's going to be, that is going to be to the advantage of Omar Spates and Nate Landman. Keep those offensive linemen off them for a click or two. Steve Ramirez, I read Stafford might practice next week. There we go. I trust Steve, all right? If I've got 20 years as a sports writer, I think Steve had 35 years. So trust Steve. Steve saw it, diehard Ram fan. He knows. All right. Thank you, Steve. Let's keep looking around the NFL and other places. Chargers bring back Keenan Allen, right? First, they brought back Mike Williams, then they brought back Keenan Allen. I think next week they're going to bring back Gary Garrison and Jerry Levias. So, yeah, I like Keenan Allen, and as long as he's on the field, he's going to be fine. But how long is he going to be on the field? And I don't think he's that much of a difference maker. Terry McLaurin, Chief. Terry McLaurin. Steeler fan Rob, who in Missouri, who's been harping about how great Will Howard is. Well, Will Howard hit his hand on a helmet, broke a bone in his hand. I'm sorry for Will Howard, but I'm actually sorry for me, who knows Steeler fan Rob, because when the Steelers season collapses all around them, he's going to say, oh, you should have, if we had Will Howard, it would have been different. And yeah, so it just delays Judgment Day for the Steelers. Shedeur Sanders set to start for the Browns on Saturday. I'm excited to see that. I think that's going to be exciting. I'm going to record that if it's on. I usually record all the preseason games, and good for him, right? I want to see it happen. Someone brought it up, and I don't know who it was, but I think we had talked about this back when he was at Colorado, when he was still being talked about being in the top 5 of the picks, right? It was, when's he going to deal with adversity? Because at the high school level, Jackson State and Colorado, Shedeur never had to deal with adversity. Well, since draft day, it's been all adversity for him. And he didn't go, until the second day or third day? Third day, right? And so now it's a chance for him to prove it, right? And that would be kind of cool if he does. Browns did sign Tyler Huntley, former Ravens backup quarterback, also a guy that made the Pro Bowl one year when everyone bailed. Vikings officially announced the retirement of linebacker Anthony Barr. He had a really nice career. Get him in his heyday running around as an off-ball linebacker for the Rams. That would have been pretty good. Tampa Bay signs Teddy Bridgewater. Has Baker Mayfield banged his hand on a helmet? I'm curious to see. I know they still got Kyle Trask as a backup there. I'm curious to know if Mayfield is okay. I did not look up that. And then, of course, Michael Parsons, Jerry Jones feud heats up. I think it's marvelous. They're going to fight all summer. And then Jerry Jones is going to make him $45 million a year richer, probably. And I think it's great. And as long as it ruins the Cowboys, I'm all good with it. Jones say, hey, Parsons might not play week 1. So there we go. And then, of course, in former Rams department,
they come and they go, Hobbs. They come and they go.
Justin Hollins, who had been a 5th-round pick of the Denver Broncos about 8 years ago, was released by them or waived by them. Rams signed him. Rams got about 2.5 years out of him. Fit the suit, looked great. Actually was a starter briefly before getting hurt, but then they put him in the street. He is signed by the Buffalo Bills as not as a linebacker, but as a defensive end. He's a guy that I don't know if it's his motor. I don't know if he just doesn't work, but he has bounced everywhere. Chargers, Packers, Skins. He's been everywhere, and now he's in Buffalo. And the curious thing about that is they invested in Joey Bosa, and Joey Bosa has not been participating. So there we go on that one. Let's see here. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, I'm not worried about Stafford's back. I have 3 discs out in my back. Ooh, I don't even want to think about that. That sounds awful. Michael Negretti, the Chargers brought Keenan Allen, but did they bring back his wheelchair? Hey, Keenan Allen's going to be good for about 10 games, right? Good for about 10 games. SM, Shador looked like Geno Smith to me when I watched him play, except maybe his arm is not as good as Geno's. I've heard that. And if he's Geno Smith, I think people are going to be happy. He'll have a long career, right? You just got to have the courage of Geno Smith, not just, Geno Smith seeing Aaron Donald coming at him and saying, oh my God, but Geno Smith going the route he went, right? Humiliation, playing for the Jets, gets his jaw broke by a teammate, sits on the bench for years behind Russell Wilson, and then seizes the opportunity when it comes to him in Seattle, and now he's in Las Vegas. He might not be great, but he's a professional quarterback, and he sure ain't John Wolford, right? So I kind of root for Geno Smith just a little bit. Thomas Wilson, ESPN ratings plummeted when it veered off into wokeness a few years ago. It's been going down that. It got very preachy. I remember you didn't end a day. Like we bought 3 newspapers in the morning and you ended your day with ESPN. And, nothing was better than Big Monday, when the Big East was still the Big East, right? You'd open with the Big East, and then you'd go to the Big Ten, and then you'd go to the Big West out here, see Vegas play Santa Barbara and Thunderdome. And there's just a lot of great stuff. And then you had Dickie V. There were some years there, ESPN. ESPN used to have the whole entire tournament, right? And you had to have ESPN to see day 1 and day 2. And I remember planning days off from work just to make sure I was home watching basketball from sunrise to sunset. And ESPN was great, and Berman, before his shtick got really old, was pretty cool. But then his shtick got really old. If I got to hear him say, "Da Raiders," it really kind of wears you out. Let's see. Forgotten locale. Seattle didn't do Geno any favors with the offensive line and their old coordinator. No, I don't think so. And that offensive line is still a mystery, right? It's still a mystery. That's still why Seattle is like, you don't know what you're going to get. And that's why Sam Darnold, who played behind a better offensive line in Minnesota, we saw what the Rams did to him when he was behind Minnesota's offensive line. And now the jury is out on the Seahawks offensive line still. And so, a good call there, Forgotten Locale. USA Expat, forget Mina. I listen to Rams games with no audio and with ESPN 710 with real Rams announced. That JB Long and DeMarco Farr. Yeah, JB Long sounds okay, right? Sounds okay. Nothing beats Enberg. Nothing beats Bob Starr. And the guy that was kind of forgotten in between there that was pretty good was Al Wisk. I don't know if any of you remember Al Wisk. I think he was with the Rams 78 and 79. And then Bob Starr took over, and Bob Starr and Scooter Bass, I think it was. So that was a nice run they had there. Let's see here. Manny Vasquez, Browns are the only other team with multiple first-round picks next year, with them picking up 2 quarterbacks this year. Do you think that would make it easier for the Rams to move up if need be? Yeah, but their picks are going to be like top 10, right? Their own pick will be top 10. And I think it'll be really hard. And so, who knows? Maybe Rams win a title. Stafford retires. The moment is not there to move up, and they got to wait. And maybe Jimmy G sticks around as a bridge quarterback, right? Maybe. Just throwing it out there. Let's see here. Steve Ramirez, is that tough to line up USA because of the delay? I'm sorry, I missed that one, Steve. Help me with that one. I'm tough to line up USA because of the delay. Rob Sorge, don't worry about our season collapsing. Just worry about broken back Stafford. Hey, Steeler fan Sorge there. Actually, I've heard people that are connected from The Athletic and others saying that Aaron Rodgers is just checking down passes. He's not going downfield, and the only one he's throwing to is DK, and so they're a little worried down there. All right, Steve Ramirez remembers Al Wisk. If you listen to the Rams Super Bowl 14 highlights, it's usually Al Wisk's voice. I think it is Al Wisk's voice that you hear there. Let's see, SM. Seattle essentially traded Geno and Metcalf for Darnold and Kupp. I think they got worse. I do too. I agree with you. Tim Burns, Swords, you worry if TJ doesn't get his annual owie. He does get his annual owie every year. USA expat, yes, a few seconds delay, but well worth it. Okay. Manny Vasquez at SM, yep, completely agree. Steve Ramirez, watching on TV while listening to the radio, which has a delay. Yeah, I know. When I had direct TV and I'm watching a Ram game, I was about 2 or 3 seconds behind because my Twitter would blow up before the play happened, and I'd have to make sure I didn't look. So yeah, on direct TV there was a delay. All right, let's keep on running here. We hit the 45-minute mark. Okay, I think it's good for us to get where we need to be. Oh, let's see here. Boom. There we go.
It was a Stone Groove, my man.
Stone Groove was winning the title. Do you see that rock? You see that ring? It's all about the bling, man. I go up to San Luis Obispo, and those dudes thought they had a chump, and I worked them last year. I worked them. I beat them into the ground because they didn't respect RamView or the work we do here. There we go. Just for you guys there that were getting late. On this day in Rams history, August 6th, in 2016, former Rams defensive end Larry Brink died at the age of 92 in Redding, California. Who's Larry Brink? Larry Brink was drafted in the 17th round in 1948 out of Northern Illinois. Now, again, there's a whole backstory here of how great the Rams scouting system was there, late 40s, early 50s. One of these days, we're going to have to get into it. But Larry Brink in 1948, right, was 6'5", 236. What a beast. Played in 3 Pro Bowls, had 2 All-Pro seasons. He was a member of the 51 title team. When you see highlights or you get a chance to see highlights, he wore number 63. His last 2 seasons with the club, he wore number 83. From 48 to 53, he was with the Rams. He was traded to the Bears in 1954 for tackle Bobby Cross. He only played 1 year there. Cross was traded to the 49ers for a 3rd-round pick in 1957. In 1962, that pick became George Struger, okay? In 62, the Rams sent Struger to the Steelers for a 5th-round pick in 63. That turns into Don Chai, guard, who in May of 69 was traded to the Eagles along with Irv Cross and Joe Carrillo for Jim Nettles and future Hall of Famer Bob Brown. Now, this might be a nerd spasm, but what I see is a 17th round pick who gave the Rams great clicks in Larry Brink being converted for a Hall of Fame right tackle, ultimately. And on top of that, Larry Brink was a great player, right? Passed away on this date 9 years ago in 2016. Had to throw that one out there. And that super Rams scouting system was run by Eddie Catal, and he should probably be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Among others that Catal discovered, Deacon Jones, Andy Robustelli, Tank Younger, Bob Waterfield, Van Brocklin, Eddie Meter, Bob Boyd, to name a few. So going back to this day in Rams history, 2001, Rams beat the Dolphins in the Hall of Fame game, 17-10. In 94, the Packers beat the Rams 14-6 in Madison. 1992, the Rams beat the Seahawks in Seattle 21-7. But here's the funny one. In 1989, the Rams beat the 49ers in Tokyo 16-13 in overtime. And you may remember this game. Lansford lines up for a 24-yard field goal. It gets blocked, but the game was blown dead because a Ram player was offsides. So he gets to kick again from the 29. He kicks again from the 29, and this time it's blocked again, but there were offsetting penalties on both the Niners and the Rams. So he kicks it a 3rd time. This is like the Munich heist between the Russians and the Team USA and Sergei Belov. He gets a 3rd chance, and he kicks the game winner 29-yarder in Tokyo, let alone play in overtime, but have to do that kick 3 different times for the Rams win. I thought that was pretty interesting stuff there to throw that out there. Let's see. Steve Ramirez. I view Rams 1940 to 55 era second best in Rams history. Rams won 2 titles and made the title game 5 times, including 3 in a row. Yeah, let's just get the Browns out of there, and it might have been a Ram dynasty, right? Totally agree. Manny Vasquez. I missed DirecTV Sunday Ticket. I was a DirecTV customer from its inception in the mid-90s, and they gave me the last 8 years of the Sunday Ticket for free. Really? See, I was part of the Sunday Ticket. I had DirecTV probably for about 17 years, and I had Sunday Ticket for about 13. What I really hated about that was they took quick cuts out. Remember, it's called quick cuts, which was every play of every game, and it was in less than 30 minutes. It was about 27 minutes, and I'd watch every game and stuff. And then they took that out of the package, and then it slowly started going downhill. And then by that, 2016 was the last year I had it. And the Rams were back in LA, and I mainly got it just to see Ram games, so I kicked it to the curb. But yeah, that was pretty good days. Let's see here. Everything else? No, nothing big. I think I got it all in, and we hit the 50-minute mark. You guys have anything else you want to talk about? I think we're good. It's 5:59 here on the West Coast. It's Del Scorcho weather. So we're going to be live again on Friday. And then I'm going to go live sometime on Saturday night on FB and on the LA Rams of Inglewood, Los Angeles Rams of Inglewood. I'm a moderator there. And I'll load up, a 10-minute commentary about the Saturday night game and then put it here for you guys to watch over the weekend. All right. Appreciate your guys hanging with me. Please hit like, hit subscribe. Thank you, Manny Vasquez. I am on vacation, but not from RamView. All right. God bless, guys. Take care. Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you soon.